this it? Are we live? I do that every time. Sorry, it cracks her up. That's the only reason I do it. Welcome back, Station C Chat. I am your host, Nathan Wickline, with the hostess with the mostest,
Sarah. Messer.
There we go. We're getting close. We are once again in Star Hill Dairy Market downtown. They are the folks that allow us to set up shop here once a week and talk to some cool folks and learn some new things about local businesses and organizations here in Charlottesville. Today, we are pretty excited to have a guest with us that is a new member of Station C. And also, for being a drum roll, we're going to be hosting our monthly event, which is September the 12th. Just kidding. Sarah's like, don't mess this up. May 6th at 5:30?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. I still messed it up. Now what do I do with my hands all of a sudden? Yeah, so that's where our monthly event's going to be. So it's going to be at a place called Hogs Kisses. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to turn this over to Sarah, and Sarah, let you introduce our guest because you guys have known each other.
Well, I love Anne.
Well, thank you.
One of her biggest fans. Anne and I originally met when she moved to town from Miami, which she'll tell us about. Mm-hmm. And I get this text from a number that says, "Hey, I'm a new vegan in town." And another vegan gave me your number and said we should talk. So that's how vegans meet, if you're wondering. So I went over to Anne's lovely farm sanctuary and I got to meet her. And at the time, she only had three big hogs.
And I think 2 bunnies at the time.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And now she has a bajillion that you'll all get to meet and we'll get to hear about today. But Anne, you want to give us a little bit of your story?
Sure. Where would you like me to begin?
Miami.
Okay, Miami.
Miami.
Yes. So in the vegan world, I would have been considered, and maybe I'm still at heart, more of like a glam vegan is what they're called.
Not a granola vegan.
Right. Not a granola vegan. So I always had stilettos, not Birkenstocks, right? And so I was there enjoying palm trees, living life. And thought I was there to stay. However, my stepson already lived in Charlottesville. And so when my husband's career and our life kind of just supported for us to live anywhere, we said, wow, let's go be with the big guy. He's turning 14, by the way, tomorrow.
Ooh,
yes. So then we said, well, wait a second. Gosh, there's land there in Charlottesville, which is completely different than Miami, right? And we said, well, we're going to be close to him and his school and his life and, all this kind of thing. I said, gosh, I'd really love to follow through on my passion, which at that point, I guess I was vegan for coming close to a decade or so. And usually when you're, thinking about the one day, someday, if I win the lottery, right, I'll do my X passion. So in this case, it was just kind of life supported the X passion. And so for me, it was great, I'm going to start a sanctuary then. I want to save some animals. I want to know that on my deathbed, looking back, I'll say, I am so proud that I did that. And so I said, all right, let's do it. And that was that. We ended up buying land and I put a board together and, and mind you, like I said, stilettos, right, to mud boots. So like this is 180 degrees. Yeah, so I had to learn about animals. I had to learn about land and how it reacts with animals and building structures and what you need. I mean, everything you can imagine that I had zero training, upbringing, experience at all, in, and we're just now going into our 3rd year. So it's all still new, but the learning curve was steep, but worth it.
Yeah. What were you doing before this?
Yes, right. So I was an educator, actually. I was a teacher at first, but then I went into business, which is more like educational technology. They call it ed tech, that sector. And I kind of grew a business acumen, grew up the ranks, kind of thing, and was leading teams mostly around product design and interaction with school systems and things like that. So I was doing my thing, rocking it in my stilettos on the plane, doing, business trips and whatnot. And it just was not fulfilling, right? I mean, it's lovely to help, students and kids and, and things like that. But at some point, it really just felt like there was a little bit of an emptiness, And not everybody gets to make their career per se, right? Their passion. But if you can, I think it's worth it,
Yeah. And I will say the first time I visited Anne, she was, I think they were like purple boots. They were, and I was like, pink, pink or purple with heels. And I was like, okay. Now when I go visit Anne, she's got the full on Carhartt over her clothes, like overalls, big muddy work boots. And she's just in it.
Totally.
How many weeks into this new venture did you sit about maybe one night at 11 o'clock and think, what have I done?
Yeah. So in the very beginning, when you bring the animals and to their new environment and then see how they respond, right? So it was for us, the bunnies had their own like kind of place. And then when we brought the big pigs, it was like, it was overwhelming, right? It was touching, right? So we were still very much in that honeymoon kind of phase, of like, oh my God, this is so amazing to see these animals just be free and just allow a pig to be a pig, And then maybe, I don't know, maybe 6 months after that, so maybe about a year in, right? You start going, God, I wish I had some help, or God, I wish, I could sleep,
we should have picked
or
goats.
I wish I know, right? Like, because here's the thing, no matter rain, sunshine, sleet, whatever, you have to be out there attending to their needs. They don't eat if you don't go out there. So there's no like, oh, I'm sick, I'm just going to sleep in bed today. No, that doesn't exist. So building the team and the network and the support around you was like really important. So I have been quite fortunate to connect with various student groups at University of Miami that have sent some volunteers over, plus then just again, like local vegans who are like, oh, there's a sanctuary 15 minutes out of town. Great. Let me go help, So I have now finally started to build up a really nice group of volunteers who are just lovely and reliable.
And did you just travel for the first time?
So I won't say the first time. Okay, however, I made a promise to my husband, like this year, my goal 2023 was self-care, because for 2 years it was like momentum was just in creating my passion, right? So then I said, okay, this year we'll actually travel, we'll do some things and have some of our own, time. So yes, now I have trusted volunteers who know what they're doing, who I can rely on, and they come in and help and take care of something.
And you got those cute piggy cams.
Yes,
you can check in.
There's a piggy cam?
Oh, I have cameras everywhere. Yeah. So some people come and go, oh my God, you have cameras, and they start to feel weird. But I'm like, no, really, it's for it's for the animals in the care, because let's just say one is ill or sick, or let's say when you're introducing animals to each other, when you're not around, they're going to behave certain ways thinking no one's watching, So it's really amazing to learn and observe their behaviors of what's going on. Yeah. And also at one point too, I was concerned about predators maybe on our land, that kind of thing. Now with the large hogs, we don't have to worry about it because our big girls are 700 pounds, right? So there's no threat there. But at one point, I brought the piglets out and all this, so you do have to kind of just watch and make sure everybody's okay. Are they sleeping in the right place? Are they not out stranded outside? All this kind of
And you have caught a lot of wildlife on those cameras.
Yes. So we did put up trail cameras to actually see what wildlife do we have. So, you name it. We've got black bear, bobcat, coyotes, all kinds of things running through our property, because our property actually goes up a mountain a little bit as well. So
love it.
How did you settle on pigs and bunnies? Was there a contest? Did you say, okay, here's our 5, we're gonna do a final 4, now there's a championship. It's pigs and bunnies.
Right. So myself and board members, we kind of sat down. We started during COVID, so we didn't even have the land. We didn't have the mail. We didn't know where everything was coming. And we kind of said, well, who do we save first? What do we do? So I was actually, where was I? Maybe it was right before lockdown. I think I went into a bookstore and I was looking at one of those shelves that have a lot of cards, greeting cards. And there was a greeting card that said Hogs and Kisses on it. And I was like, that's it. That's the name. So we said, great, let's do hogs, because, they rarely ever get saved, right? Right now, with people taking on potbellies as pigs, there's a little more room for potbellies to be so-called saved or rescued or provided a forever home. But for hogs, I mean, it is so hard. You have to have the right setup and definitely somebody who's got some grit to it because they are big animals. So we said, okay. And knowing too, statistically, it's, I think now they're saying about 1.5 billion hogs are slaughtered every year, right? So
It's a B.
Few, billion, correct. So very few actually live out their full lives. So, and their full lives, by the way, average is about 15 years of age. And when a hog goes to the slaughterhouse, they're about 4 to 6 months old, something like that. So we really said, okay, then we're going to definitely do hogs. After that, the rabbits came along because the land we found is on Rabbit Valley Road. So we said, we've got to save some rabbits too. And with them, the issues, right, are not only some are destined for plates, but then some go to laboratories and then some from the pet industry. And, you know, with pet industry, it's really tough because everybody loves the idea of cute, cuddly, but when responsibility kicks in, sometimes it's hard. People don't do the right thing when they can't handle the animal anymore. So anyway, so just needing to rescue rabbits as well was a pretty big deal too.
Will you stop there?
Great question. So, so right now, the board and I, we were trying to decide what will be the next animal that we rescue. There's been a lot of talk about expanding to a new species. So we do have some plans to build a larger like rabbit house. And if we do, we could potentially, because we'll build like a run, like a rabbit run, kind of like a chicken run kind of idea for the rabbits to have an outdoor environment. And so if we do, we could potentially then take in maybe turkey or some type of poultry or something, because do side by sides or something. Anyway, there is that. And then we do have land. So there's a lot of talk about cattle as well.
Wow.
Yes.
Little bovine therapy.
So, yes. There's that. We have a lovely pond. However, at this moment, the wildlife are really enjoying our pond. So I'd hate to, because if we were to do waterfowl, you have to really, really make sure, because we have a lot of predators. So you'd have to do a lot of protection. And I don't know, that would keep out wildlife, you know, so I do want to have a good balance of being able to support and not supplant the wildlife that's there in our property. So.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a big part of having land is being a steward of what's already there.
Yes, correct. Exactly. I mean, my husband goes crazy because, you know, even things like stink bugs and the little lady beetles that come and like come and infest your house or your garage or whatever, I will not let him kill them at all. And he's ready to kill me.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, this man, I swear to you, he definitely loves me because he bought a stink bug vacuum.
Oh my gosh, it kind of keeps them alive.
Kind of gives you suck them up and then you go and you release them somewhere else. Oh, he was cursing me the
the
whole
house
time. I know. He's so cursing
and having
me
babies.
all the time.
Lots of babies.
I am that crazy lady. Yes.
Well, you're in good company.
Yeah, I know. We are kindred spirits in that.
Where do we were out there and these things are huge.
Yes.
Where do you get? I mean, where do they come from?
Well, for those watching, they're bigger than Ben Robbins.
It's a
good comparison.
That was said by Sarah Messer.
They're 7 feet.
Yes. Yeah. Our biggest, sexiest pig is almost 7 feet
go,
long.
Ben.
That's right. Yeah. Her name is Rubia, which is means blondie in Spanish. And yes, she weighs 718 pounds.
Jeez.
So
they're massive.
Yeah, she's massive.
Ben, I do hope that's bigger than you. I'm going out on a limb there. 718 is really up there.
Sydney's losing.
I know. This is all for Sydney.
Yeah. So such a great question. Everybody likes to know, like, because immediately they go, well, wait a second. If an animal is meant to be on a plate, why are they given up or how are they rescued, right? Yeah, so the scenarios are really different and very intricate. Majority of the animals will either be somehow allowed by the farmer or institution to be let go. If it's a hog, I'm just speaking on the hog, right, at the moment. Our big girls came from actually a small farmette, so not a large factory farm, but a small farmette in upstate New York. And basically, a husband and wife were the farmers, and the wife fell in love with the pigs. She actually went vegetarian because as she was studying how to be a hog farmer, she learned like so many things about pigs, how smart they are, how they have social networks, they snuggle together every night. I mean, just it was almost like how people relate to their companion animals, like a dog, and she was like, I can't do it anymore. She had such guilt. So there were a bunch that they were rehoming to other sanctuaries. Woodstock in upstate New York, that sanctuary really helped us out to help kind of barter or what have you, or manage the rescue. And anyhow, so we went up, picked them up, and brought them home, got, medical checkouts, all that kind of thing. And you have to get a livestock trailer, and trying to get 700 pounds to go onto a trailer who's never been onto a trailer before. Like, it was insane. It took us 2 hours just to try and get them on, So I'm just painting this picture because that's all what's part of it, We have 2 other boys where they were raised on a farm that had a slaughterhouse there in a rural part of Connecticut. And the family who would pass by every day living down the road, they couldn't take it. They would see all these pigs in the yard, and then one day, ghost town, right? So the mother goes over, knocks on the door, Mr. Farmer, please, can I save some of these pigs, And those 2, it was like winning the lottery. They just happened to be the runts of the litter. And he said, I'm not going to make any money really on them. Okay, go ahead and take them, So that was their scenario. And then the more recent ones, we have 2 piglets, Berkshire pigs, and they happen to be in Southern Virginia and were just abandoned, actually. So whatever family had them that were growing them and were, going to have them or eat them, they just left. And so whatever, they had 2 goats and the 2 pigs and just left them. So they were hungry, trying to look for food, and they had to try and get out. And so they kept getting out. Neighbors called animal control. So they ended up at animal control facility. And then we were called to help, come and help out and all this kind of thing. So, these are myriads. Now, that's just ours. But I will tell you, more commonly than not, hogs that get rescued are usually truck jumpers. So when a hog gets put onto a truck, usually they're getting weaned off of mom and then usually going to a growing facility. So at that point, they're only a few weeks old, maybe 4 weeks old, if that. And then they go there, then they go to a facility where they're getting fattened, then they would head to the slaughterhouse. So there are 2 points at which the pigs would jump off. And when they do, if they survive the landing, then it's a good Samaritan that comes along and goes, oh my God, I found a pig. What do I do? Yeah. And then they just start calling a bunch of people.
And if you see the video, and there are a lot of videos of the pigs jumping off, it's just, it's something that changes you.
Yes,
sure.
Indeed. Because I think at the end of the day, they've never been on a moving vehicle, right? Like that just in and of itself is nervous for a hog or most animals, livestock animals. And so then they start going, something's not right, and then everybody is so jam-packed together in this moving vehicle. And how did they get on? Was it a little bit more with force and prod? So they know, these are not dumb animals. Like they know something's up. So they immediately go, oh my God, and they want to save their own self, so they jump.
They're smarter than dogs.
So that's
right? Is that the deal?
Supposedly there have been some of these like psychological tests that have gone on. And from one that I read, there were some researchers who had pigs actually performed manipulations of a video game, and moving an avatar to a certain point in order to get a treat. Yes. So, it was like, oh my gosh. So I think a lot of the pigs are smarter than dogs where it was coined from some of this. Yeah. And it's hard, right? Because each species has their own thing that makes them unique and amazing. Because some could say that rabbits are super smart, right? Because it's their own uniqueness that really, But I think in general, all animals, we just don't give them enough credit. Really, I think almost all.
So I know part of your business models, you guys also have an Airbnb, and guests who stay there, part of their fee goes as a donation.
Yes.
And then also you give them a tour.
Mhm.
And most of the people that stay there, I would say probably aren't vegan.
Yes.
But you give them a little inside scoop. Do you
Yes.
ever hear back from them about like they've turned vegan because of Hogs and Kisses?
Life-changing.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So we started B&B because when you go into this endeavor, nonprofit can be a one-way street financially, right? There's the money goes out and not as much comes in, right? So we started a bed and breakfast, a vegan one. And I was like, okay, this is great. We're going on Airbnb and we're going to go on these vegan platforms and la, 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 right? So since we've been open, which has been since fall, we have not had one vegan guest stay. They have all been non-vegans, right? However, there's a lot of opportunity there because, they all want to meet the animals, right? So they come, they kind of see what you're doing. They're like, this is amazing what you're doing. That's awesome. And they start to ask questions about the animals. And, most people, we're all very removed usually from the process of making food. So they want to ask, okay, wait, why and how and, all this. Anyway, one couple in particular, actually, this past Valentine's weekend that came to the B&B, they were, asking all kinds of questions and literally went to eat after that. And then she messaged me in the chat in the app and said, hey, by the way, we've now decided like we're not going to eat pork anymore. Kind of thing. And
First
I was
step.
like, all right, good, gold star win, So at least I could tell their mind was open enough to really realize, do I want to keep making the choice of that, or would I prefer to make sure that they have a chance to live? And
For sure.
so it was lovely.
Yeah, I mean, something about petting an animal and looking it in the eye and then having that kind of connection for yourself. I remember in high school, that was what did it for me. Is all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, my food comes from that.
Yeah.
Like it felt like it never really clicked for me before that moment. And I love that we have Ben and Sydney behind the camera who have gone vegan for the last
Awesome.
but and it was from sharing a post on LinkedIn and Sydney actually took the time to read the article. We had some conversations and I know she explored that before, so a lot of great resources, but that's how change happens.
Sure.
And we talked about this a lot on your podcast, Beat Around the Barn,
Yes.
which is super cute. Check it out on YouTube, people.
Yes.
But just about there's a lot of misconceptions about veganism.
Yes.
Certainly like when we started the juice laundry at the beginning, we never used the word vegan because that as a plant-based facility, people who are vegan will find you because they're looking. But people who see the word vegan are often, I'm not going there because of that.
Right.
So there's been and now I'm a little bit more loud and proud about it because I think as a society, we're becoming a little more liberal and open to hearing different perspectives and understanding different things. But in Miami, I haven't been, but I imagine with the heavy influence of Cuban culture that you were not one of a huge community as a vegan.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Miami, yes, you're right, has a lot of Latin culture there. And yes, especially, right, Cuban pork, right, is what they eat, right, culturally. But at the same time, you have this transient population because they're coming for the glitz, right? And they're coming for living on the beach. And a lot of them are extremely body conscious people. And so they are very open-minded to trying out, new things. So you do have a little bit of both. And I will say, I think as people hear more and more, vegan or trying vegan, or as you start to hear restaurants are now getting X amount of stars or this or that, and the new place to go to, right? And all this kind of thing. It now almost becomes like, hey, do you want to have Italian or Chinese tonight? Oh, let's try vegan. It almost now becomes like another option, right? For the more militant vegans, right? We're a little more like, no, we don't want it like that, right? But on one hand, at least I think it's progress, right? There's some credit towards having people be more open-minded. And I think if we can even just reduce the number alone of animals that end up on plates, if we could just reduce. So while Meatless Monday is a marketing term, right? At least it's doing something, I think, right? To help people go, is there a different option that I can try,
Not a vegan,
But-
but we do meatless Mondays.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
and I feel like I'm at Botanical Fair
Okay.
87 times a week, and we always round up.
And you know what? You know,
Right on.
Always round up.
That's right. So Botanical Fair, really awesome. At the end of their receipt, you can round up, and they then give those donations to Hogs and Kisses.
Love
so
to
it's
see
really
it.
lovely. Yeah.
and every time I go to Botanical Fair, not only do I see Nathan, but I see Anne's husband. Because when we finally get a vegan restaurant, that's where all the vegans are going to be. So thank you, Ryan. And also, they're opening Crozet this summer.
Yes, they
so-
are. And what's
Oh, really?
cool,
Yeah.
yes, what's cool
Rooftop.
about her opening there, and they're calling it Bar Botanical because it's meant to be more of a bar atmosphere with a bit more bar food. So it'll have some of the same, recipes, but I have a little bit of different feel to it, which
Yeah.
is super cool, because then it's less of like this, we're going to eat vegan, but now let's go hang out at
Yeah.
the bar, and it happens to have vegan food there,
It's called the secret vegan.
Yeah.
You know, you get to the bar and it's secretly vegan.
Exactly.
Didn't even know, and then you love
Didn't
it.
even know.
Didn't even know.
That's the way
Yeah.
you get us.
Which,
Yeah.
by the way, there is a
You'll be converted.
there's a pizza place in Colorado up at the mountain. My husband loves to ski, so sometimes I would go out. Anyway, there's this pizza place called Pianti, and literally no one in that place. I mean, very few are vegan. It's all plant based, right? Vegan place. But everybody who goes in there is always like, this pizza is the best pizza I've ever had. And I swear to you, my smile is like this huge grin because at the end of the day, it's just good food. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's vegan or not. It's just delicious.
And speaking about passions, you have another passion
oh,
to open a pizza
Oh,
place.
yes, I know.
A big dream. If anyone wants to help,
yeah.
open a bomb pizza place.
Totally. So yes, so I would love to see our B&B expanded, right? And such that then we can offer some type of like restaurant option on our property. So that would be like amazing if we could offer something like
Get
that.
you a little food truck.
Yeah, I know. So I don't know, when you first come on the property, there's that metal barn,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it's right by the pond. So we had these like notions of like, oh man, what if we had like a cool brick oven pizza place with craft beer, whatever, right on the pond. And of course, the proceeds could go to the animals. And then you're sitting there on the pond and the animals right there and you're having great pizza and beer. Like just the whole feeling of it, we would love.
So
Yeah.
May 6th is going to give us a taste
It's
of that.
gonna
a little
give
bit,
us
right?
a
yeah,
taste.
exactly.
And Anne
Yeah,
too.
yes.
This is her practice run.
So let's talk about that because that's the Station
Absolutely.
C
Yes.
thing. And whether
Yeah.
you're a member with us or somebody else, I'm excited about that. I'm excited. I love vegan burgers.
Yeah.
I do. So
We've come a long way. Yes.
Green
Yeah.
burger. Yes.
Yes. Right.
But
the event is a battle.
Yes.
Right. Now, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. So part of so we do an annual event. We call it our barn warming event. So this is our barn
Do you
warming.
get it?
And
Barn-
and last year was a lot because again it was just our second year, right? And we're coming out of COVID, so people coming to visit. So it was a lot more of like a meet and greet. Well,
Mhm.
this year we wanted to do something that really engaged our community, bring everybody in, but that was approachable, didn't turn people off, but made it fun, right? And in Miami, they do lots of different like vegan food and wine fests. There's a big one called Seed. Anyway, one of their most successful events is a plant burger battle.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't think Charlottesville has ever had a plant burger battle.
Not
I was
at
like,
all.
I'm going to do that. So I said, okay, who's in? So I was talking to a bunch of food vendors and such, and we have 3 lovely vendors. So what's cute about this scenario is that we have 3 different cities represented. So Roanoke, Charlottesville, and Richmond. So the restaurant in Roanoke is Screaming Vegan. The guy is a vegan chef. His daughter is going through culinary school right now, and she is going to be cooking the Noble burgers
Heck yeah.
from Charlottesville. So it's daddy-daughter battle, right? Plus it's also Roanoke and then Charlottesville burgers.
Aw.
Then in Richmond, we have Devil's Lettuce. And
Devil's Lettuce.
Devil's
I love
Lettuce.
that name.
I know,
That's
right?
awesome.
Is that hilarious? Yeah, Janice. And she started, yeah. So, and they're so lovely. They have a small little kind of like ma and pa feel right to their place. And she's literally going to close on May the 6th in order to come
Aw.
and support us and have burgers, at our event. So, I mean, really lovely. So it's a battle of the cities between the chefs, but then it's also this daddy-daughter kind of thing. So, I mean, I think we're going to have real, fun with it. Plus, so many other businesses have supported us. Champion Brewing has donated. Duck Donuts has a whole line of vegan donuts. They're going to donate as
wow.
well. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. juice laundry, woo woo, and then a bunch for raffles too. So we've got like movie tickets for raffles, a free stay in our B&B as well. We'll have a lottery ticket basket. I mean, you know, so we're gonna really do it up and have lawn games. And I have a special guest speaker as well coming.
That you haven't announced yet, right?
Yes, I haven't announced
Okay.
yet. So actually, we're announcing sponsors tomorrow, and then we'll announce the guest speaker next week. But I'll let you all know here at Station C. His name.
We're big about breaking news here.
His name is Jeff Palmer. And he is he's the owner of Clean Machine. So he's a vegan business. So he's into vegan protein and supplements. He's actually a vegan bodybuilder. He has started a vegan bodybuilding like event and showcase. It actually just happened last weekend down in South Florida. Anyway, he is like, I think, and I hope he doesn't get mad at me saying so, but his age is a little bit older than maybe, you know, you would think. And so he's a senior, but if you just didn't even see his face and you came up behind him, he'd look like he was 30 years old. He is that built.
Amazing.
It's amazing. He's been vegan for like 30 something years when people carried tofu in a bucket, you know what I mean? Like when there wasn't, you know, options, you know? Yes, exactly. So he's like tried and true, and he's super zen, and he's just absolutely lovely. So yeah, he'll be our guest speaker for the event.
Oh my God.
Is there also going to be like some breweries? Is that going to be there?
Well, so Champion Brewing,
Champion, that's right.
And then we actually just have Athletic Brewing, who does a non-alcoholic beer as well. So that way we could be inclusive to anybody. Yeah. So they too donated as well.
And it starts at 5.
So it starts at 5. You'll come, you'll do a little bit of meet and greet of the animals. They will have just finished their dinner because otherwise it'll be too unruly. So we'll do a bit of that. And then everybody will kind of come into the tent, try the burgers, and we'll have, you know, all the food and such. We'll have voting cards, and then we'll have the guest speaker, lawn games, so families can be there doing their thing. Then we'll have the raffle prizes, and then at the end we'll announce the winner, and we have a plaque for the winner as well, the vendor, so they can hang it in their restaurants.
So at Station C, we got 25 tickets?
25 tickets.
25 tickets.
Going
so
fast.
if you're watching this and you haven't claimed your tickets, do it.
Definitely.
And
which, by the way, we are 90% sold at the moment. And
nice.
Early bird pricing ends on Friday this week, and then we'll keep bumping it up towards the event. So you all got in at a great time. Yeah.
Yeah. Go get a ticket.
Yeah, get a ticket. It's for a great cause.
Right. Yeah. So if you got a +1, buy your ticket.
Yeah.
Right.
Going like hotcakes.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Best day ever.
That's Saturday,
Yes.
the 6th. 5 p.m.
There you go.
I got my cue
There
cards
you
over
go.
Yeah.
So I think that's about our time for today.
Yeah.
If we want to learn more about
Yes.
Hogs and Kisses,
Yes.
where do we go?
Absolutely. So it's just hogsandkisses.org. That's our website. And then, of course, we're on Instagram, and we're on Facebook as well, YouTube also. So you can always check us out. We give a lot of updates on our social media of the animals.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You get to see those
Monday,
cams.
Twisty Tail Tuesday, Wildlife Wednesday. Yep. This for that Thursday, and FAQ Friday, where we address misconceptions about animals. So definitely check us out.
All right.
Thank you, Anne.
Yeah, no, thank you all very much.
Saturday,
see you
May
some-
6th.
Yes,
Go
see you
to
there.
the event.
And tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. 420.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, 420 at where?
At the
Eastwood.
brewery,
Eastwood.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, so come on out tomorrow, but more importantly, go buy a ticket for the Hogs and Kisses.
Woohoo!
Save a pig.
Yeah.
All right.
That's right.
Save a pig.
Save a pig.
There you go. There's your tagline. Save a pig. See ya.
Oh.